Hello, welcome to my channel. My name is Elias, and I will be talking about my first ever character, Kit. She was from, well, there's a reason why this video is going to be titled Cringe OCs kind of thing, because it was not great, as most stories that people make in middle school are, which is fine. Not every story has to start out great, but at the time I was really obsessed with Madoka Magica and anime in general. So, yeah, it was a trip. The original magical girl part of the story ended up not being a big thing, I think, freshman year of high school, and I got rid of that part, and now and then for a long time it turned into a high school rom-com romance, but the main character still had a tragic backstory, so it was more like a slice of life anime where the character was very traumatized, but now it's, um, well, let's just talk about it. So, Kit was my first ever OC. It was from a creative writing assignment that I had in 7th grade, um, which, at the time was 2016. It was not a great time. I was very much in the closet, very much in denial, and I think that part of the story really reflected at the time. So that was fun. But my main problem with Kit as a character is that even though she had a lot of um, character potential, her personality was very, very, very vague. She was just like the every girl kind of character where it's like, oh, she's nice, and what else? Um, she's brave. Yeah, that didn't really, after a certain point, that gets really boring to think about and really boring to draw as well. Which kind of sucks because I used to draw her all the time in middle school, because who doesn't draw their OC all the time in middle school? I mainly want to discuss in the video is more of the concept of having or not having a cringe OC, because we all have them. If you don't have them, yes you do. Um, it's how it goes, whoever, your first character isn't going to be great. Your first character is always going to go through a revision or two or three or 100, because every character goes through revisions. If you look up any kind of documentary on the process of a film, they'll be like, yeah, it took us a really long time to design this character because we just couldn't agree. Which, that's more of a collaborative effort than, just one person doing it on their own, like I am and was. Um, but I guess one tip, I guess, that does help develop characters is to talk about other people, about your characters, and have just go back and forth on it, because it's a lot easier to do work with more than one person, as it's like no shit, but you know, um, but I guess more the development of cringe OCs is that it's become acceptable, especially on like TikTok, to bully people because of it, which that's not cool. Bullying's not cool. Bullying doesn't work. That's not a thing. That's not a real concept. Bullying just hurts people, and especially on the TikTok space. I wasn't really involved in Tumblr and DeviantArt, thankfully, mostly because of just my dad and my interests. It's not that I wasn't really allowed not to have social media. I was just, there was rules behind it, which I get it, yeah. Um, and I definitely could have, because like, I could have. But I didn't. I kept a lot of my art to myself because I was afraid to post it online, and I didn't have an Instagram at the time. I only was watching YouTube, and I thought that was just a thing for adults and kids that, had parents that wanted them to. But, but now, obviously, this is actually my first recording of a video that's on a computer, and it's not just on my phone. I'm not just editing it on my phone. I'm going to very much try to make a YouTube thing work. But regardless, if you have any tips on using Audacity and or Photoshoot, please leave them in the comments, because I'm just doing it to see where it goes. And the audio quality is probably not going to be the best. I don't have a pop mic. I don't even have my microphone plugged into my computer. Not plugged in computer plugged into my walls because I can't find the cord. So it's just and I'm recording in my room. I'm right next to a window. I have a curtain, obviously, but that doesn't really help distort the sound too much. So Maybe I should just be a little bit closer to the mic. That might help. I'm not sure. Regardless, so like a lot of people, I started making stories because I just had an interest in other stories, like I mentioned before, Madoka Magica and anime in general. But of course, I grew up with Disney and just watching Cartoon Network and Nickelodeon, and I figured eventually that hey, if I like making stories and I like drawing, why don't I try to do this as a career? It's not my career at the moment, but I'm working on it. I'm working on not working currently on a portfolio, but I'm working on ideas for portfolio, making art specifically for portfolios, and just doing character design in general. But the main thing I do want to talk about, of course, is the cringe OC concept, which it's not that it's not a concept, more so it's cringe is a morality concept because people have apparently linked morality to characters, which is total BS. Um, and you can just feel free to make cringe OCs. And if you grow out of it, you grow out of it, like I did. I'm 20 years old. I've been out of high school for since 2022, so like 3 years. So that's fun. I hate that. So, but one of the things I did learn my senior year is 3D animation, and I am working on getting back into it. I want to use Blender for making 2D animations just because I am already familiar with it, and having that 3D asset is a lot easier to make backgrounds with and record characters with and all that fun stuff. But the main topic is how people react to other people having a cringe OC or a Mary Sue or all that fun stuff. I highly recommend watching other people's videos about Mary Sue's if you're too young to remember what a Mary Sue is or just have forgotten over the years. But and Kit kind of was a Mary Sue in a way. Um, Except she was just in her own universe. Obviously, it was based off of Madoka Magica and Magical Girls. Um, but like I said before, her character in general was kind of boring, just overly sad, overly tragic. I ended up changing another one of my characters' stories because his story also was overly tragic and depressing, and I just didn't want to write that story anymore. And not wanting to write a story anymore because of that does show character growth for yourself. And the way Kit kind of developed was originally just as a coping mechanism, but now she's like becoming more of a person. That's my tip for characters is that you always want them to feel like an actual person and not just a prop for your story. Which they are props for your story, but you know, you don't want them to feel that way. It's like Arcane just came out and every single character feels like a real person, even though at their basic core function they are props for the story, or maybe the story is a prop for the characters. But that's a thought to have. But regardless, Kit, like I said, was very. Oh, I had this really bad thing happen to me, but I'm not gonna let it affect me. Which that's a good start for a character, but it wasn't a good thing for a character to be. And now she gets more of a rebellious teen in a way, and her original backstory was that she was a probably 14 years old, um and her parents died in a car crash, and then she had to live for Anne, and she's bi, and she lives in a homophobic area, and the person she ends up falling in love with also has a bit of a tragic backstory because her parents are homophobic, which I'm probably actually going to keep in the story because it's still going to be set in a very small rural town. She lives with her aunts, but I'm not sure if her parents are going to have passed away or not, because my kind of idea is that the plot now is kind of a mishmash of Danny Phantom and um, Danny Phantom and the Magnus Archives in a way, where she likes urban exploring now. She likes urban exploring, and she ends up finding what is essentially I'm going to be calling Pandora's box. and she opens Pandora's box and she releases all of these magical creatures that her and Amy and her name's Sora right now. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep that. Not Sora. That's a totally different character. I might have a video about Sora, or I might make a video about Sora if you want to check that out. Her name was Saya. But I'm not sure if I'm going to keep that name or not. I doubt it. I'm not sure if she's going to be a real character in the story. Saya was Amy's friend that from middle school onward, they were like best friends from kindergarten, day one. And Saya is like very outspoken. She plays sports and all that fun stuff. Oh, she's a really fun character, but I'm not sure how much merit she'll have in the story. I think she'll be more of a background coming in when the moral support character, which that's fun. Amy is like this very shy girl. That's her story that I'm still kind of going to keep. She hasn't changed that much. Is that she's really tall, but she's actually like she's also really shy, and kind of got bullied, but Say always like kind of stood up for her and stuff. So she probably still has homophobic parents, or at the very least is not in great contact with them. I think they're going to be freshmen or sophomores because that sounds like going into an abandoned area where you're not supposed to be sounds like something a freshman would do. So that's all fun, but I really enjoy the concept of this story a lot more, and I think the reason why Kit would have to live with her aunt instead of being at home with her parents would probably be because she got into too much trouble. Um, and at the moment, I'm not going to have her smoke. I know that's kind of a off topic topic, but I don't like smoking. I hate smoking, and but she's really punk and kind of rebellious. I think that she probably would have smoked before, but she probably got a friend got really sick, and now she's like, I ain't doing this shit anymore. Um, but I feel like that might be an actual plot point at one point where she's like, hey, I'm not going to do that. Piss off. And I really like her character a lot more now. She seems a lot more like a real person, except for like, she's not a character that is just kind of being beaten down by the plot and getting back up again. So I said that Saya and Amy were friends in middle school. They were friends in middle school, but they started being friends in elementary school. So forgive me for that. I'm just going to do this in like one session because I don't trust myself to pick it back up again. And so yeah, I think that that might be like a. I don't want the show to really be aimed for little kids, but definitely still like PG-13. I think is um, a good roundabout way of saying it is that it'd be PG-13, mostly aimed towards older teenagers and young adults. I think that's what a lot of my stories are going to be is just general, what everybody would like. Not too much as in a people pleasing way, although I am a big people pleaser, but more so in like a not necessarily Pixar sort of way. Um, just in a this is a story that anybody would like, but it's more so aimed towards teenagers and adults. Just a more mature kind of story, like how Kits is just kind of a bunch of misadventures. I feel like it's a genre that could be explored more is um something more mature than um Rick and Morty, not Rick and Morty, regular show, but something not as mature as Arcane or something along those lines. I feel like there's a potential for a good medium where it's still very fun loving and pretty kid-ish friendly, so like more teen friendly, preteen friendly. Um, than something that's aimed towards just adults because I feel like a lot of that kind of content is out of reach for people. Because I remember being a teenager. I started doing this when I was a teenager, mostly in middle school. I started, and then I started taking it more seriously my sophomore year. And I feel like stories are very important. I feel like part of story making is making mistakes. Ah, see right there. But in general, don't be afraid to make cringe OCs or cringe characters or what people will say is cringe. And I know for a time I had a weird, and this is more art in general, where I had a weird sense of gender dysphoria from liking art because a lot of people do perceive art as being more of a feminine hobby, which is even I know at the time knew at the time was BS, but I just sometimes you just can't help that stuff, and oh god, especially right now, it's going to be really hard for trans people soon. Sorry that this is such a sour topic to talk about, but I feel like it is important, even as a small creator, to be able to talk about these things, talk about big issues on a small platform, because I really think it will point to a certain trajectory of being able to comfort people, even if this is a distraction from whatever's going on right now, or even if you're watching in the future and if things are worse or things are better. I don't know how far in the future I don't know how far in the future YouTube's gonna be up. Um, but yeah, keep on making gay characters. Be gay, do crime. Um, and people will try to stop you, even in a perfect world, people will try to stop you, let alone in one that's really not, especially at the moment. For context, this is being recorded on the 19th of 2024. um it's November right now, so it's being recorded November 19th, 2024, and yeah, it's not looking good. I would love to move out of the country, but I don't know how feasible it is. But regardless, um, don't don't make this is kind of a good segue into this. Don't make people censor you, because censorship is the death of media literacy. Not that media literacy is not already dead, apparently, but I feel like having media literacy in this day and age is kind of like common sense, where it's not so common, and yeah, censorship is going to be a big deal, and I do believe that we deserve better as people in general and as a country. But um, don't let people tear you down. Don't let people say you can't make that because they don't like it. If they don't like it, who gives a fuck? It is too late to be worried about that. It is too late to have some sort of gripe against people that make characters, especially young people. I'm a young person, but I'm not a teenager anymore, which I can almost drink. Not yet. I probably will love to drink and cheer once I can legally. Yay, USA! We are full of terrible, terrible decisions. And yeah, don't be afraid to be who you are. Don't be afraid to make cringe characters. And my time is almost up. So, be gay, do crime, make cringe characters. That's all I can say. And if you want to hear more from me, then you can feel free to like and subscribe and leave a comment down below. Thank you very much for listening to me ramble.